I just lost you, but from the Torah we would say it's mutter.
No, that's only going to the Rambam. Go call everybody else. Sfeka d'oraisa l'chumra, midoraisa, right? Or you can go to the Rambam, say it's
chumra. It's in a Torah because of mitar, it's betul barov,
yeah,
it's mutter.
Right.
So then, how would you ever have the situation? Where did I lose you?
You have the situation in the case of Avodah Zarah, in the case of Rimon Abidan, when we do Rabbanan, we say certain things in Adat. But it's only a sfek, b'torah sfek. Each element in this Tarovet, either the first one or the second one, that's a separate issue, right, is b'torah sfek. So therefore you can add another one and you have a sfek. The sfekot have to be able to add up. If you close the door on one, then it's too late to bring in the other. Okay? Too late. So there's an issue of time here. Let's just continue here. This is all, yeah.
What determines closing that door? Does it have to be, b'kol? Can it be kavanah?
Oh, well, closing the door does, let's see the issue of time here. Okay? Let's just continue the Rashba. This is exactly what I want to determine right now. Okay? All right. So the Rashba says, V'yesh li lomar, I'm going back to that, okay? The fifth line. V'yesh li lomar. Dehatam, in the case of Ketubot. Yeah? Are you with me? Yesh,
where are you now?
I'm in the Rashba. V'yesh li lomar. Dehatam shani. The first one on the line is shani. She'i efshar lazo, for this woman, lavo lefanecha ela b'shtei sfekot. V'yata yachol lachmir aleha. And you can't be machmir. Because every time you want to be machmir, they say, well, maybe it's mutter. Try from the other direction, maybe it's mutter. Right? So you can't be machmir. V'lomar dehech natir, ukvar asarta. K'mo she'ata omer b'safek noda b'yom tov. Shemiyad, kvar, miyad, time. Amda aleinu be'isr. ואחר כך נתערבה באחרות, ונתווסף בתערובת ספק זה השני. כיוצא בזה, במי שאסרנו המחמת ספק טרפה, ואחר כך נתערבה באחרות, איך נאמר שמה לא זוהי, ואם תמצא לומר זוהי, שמה לא טרפה הייתה, ולא כבר אסרתה משעה שנולד בספק טרפות. ואיך נתיר מה שאסרנו מפני שנתערב באחרים. ונאמר מה שאסרנו מותר היה. It doesn't make any sense. And I came to you with a shaila. I said, this is mutar or asr. Suffolk treifa. So the Rav said it was asr. Now it falls into a tarovet. So I say, okay, maybe this is the piece, maybe it's not the piece. And even if it is the piece, maybe it's mutar. What do you mean? I told you before it was asr. So you can't be matir. Nothing happened to the piece. The fact that it fell into a tarovet doesn't take away the fact that I passed it on the piece that it's asr.
You're only passing that it's asr misafek.
Ah, good. So what do you see? This is why the whole discussion that we had last week and this week is crucial to understand the Riyazaken. So the Riyazaken obviously understands that when you say something is asr b'safek, it's asr b'toras vaday.
Then why did 3 help?
If 3 only helps a tarovet.
No, but each time it falls, you only have one safek according to the Ri.
No, in
falls
tarovet.
into a mixture, safek, usr. Ring falls into the second mixture, safek, usr. Ring falls into the third mixture, safek, usr.
No, because once it falls into the mixture, there the safek is asr b'torah safek. That we said, when you're paskening on the chayfus itself, the safek is asr b'toras vaday, maybe because it's a sfeka d'oraisa. But in the tarovet, it's asr b'toras safek, because midoraisa it's already batel, even in the first tarovet.
But the svara you can say by midrabanan also. Once you pasken midrabanan and something's usr, you can't come back and say that just because it falls into something else, I'm going to make.
But you don't have to. That's obviously that would be the distinction between the cases. It's certainly enough to make the distinction. You don't have to say what he says, right? No, but you can certainly plausible to be mechalek between Yesod Rabbanan and Yesod D'Oraisa, which is what the Rama says. That's what the Rama says. Okay. Now, how do we determine? I want to go to what Batya asked. How do you determine asarnu. What does it mean that you asared it? Okay. Now, from the language of the Rashba, kvar asarta, and from his description of that we had the treifa and it stood by itself, and I asered it, and now it fell into the tarovet. He's making a very simple case. He's making it easy. He's making it easy for himself. The case is that actually in time there actually was a psak already on this piece of meat. Because the piece of meat was all by its lonesome, right? And I said this piece of meat is sfek treifa. What's the halacha of sfek treifa? I paskin that it's aser. Okay? But let me ask you a more complicated question. That's not what happened. We didn't know about the meat. Okay? Maybe somebody knew that there was sfek treifot around, but nobody paid attention to it. So there was no, it was by the guy. Okay? So there's no leidat sfek for Yisrael. There's no leidat sfek. And some piece of meat falls into a tarovet. Now I have a tarovet, and somebody says, you know what? You know what fell into this tarovet? A piece of sfek nevela. So here, if I take the Rashba literally, I say this case is not what the Riyaz Zakin was talking about. The Riyaz Zakin was only saying you don't say sfek echad beguf or sfek echad b'tarovet if you paskin on the guf. You already paskin that it's sfek kevadai and it's aser. Now you can't be matur. But now hine balifanai, ignorance is bliss. I don't know what happened before. Balifanai ta'arovet. We're in the tarovet is a sfek nevela shelo pasku alav. We didn't know about it. How could we paskin about it? Only now we realize that it was a sfek, that it's a sfek nevela. Why? Who knows? Maybe we just discovered the rest of the animal and it was colored. You know, they throw dye on when they shecht. I don't know if you ever mishlachtas. When they shecht, right after they shecht the animal, they take it apart and they check for the trephis, right? If it's kasher, then they throw blue ink on it. That's why you find meat with blue, like dark blue, purplish ink, right? You know what I'm talking about? If it's nevela, if you ever buy meat and it has green ink on it, you're in trouble, right? It's treifa, right? They put green ink on it. Now, so, all right. So, why did I get into that? So, suppose we had the meat and we thought it was okay, and then it fell into a tarovet, and now we check the rest of the animal that we know that this meat came from, and it has a treifa. But where'd the meat go? Oh, it's in the tarovet, right? So I can only paskin on this sfek when it's balifanai in the tarovet. So what then? So in the simple reading of the Rashba, that's a good sfeka. Ki ze balifanai b'shtei sfekot. Right? That's one way. Okay? But I don't have to say that. I can say this way that the issue of time is only an indicator. It's not that I befall paskin. The question is whether theoretically I can separate the questions and deal with the questions separately. Not that I paskin on this piece separately. So in the case of sfek echad beguf or sfek echad b'tarovet, conceptually I deal with the sfekot separately. Right? I have, first of all, what's the nature of this meat? Even though it's balafanai in the tarovet, but it's a different type of question, so it doesn't add up. Right? So I paskin on the meat, and that messes up my possibility to be matir through the tarovet. Okay? So this question, actually, is what the shach in the beginning of Klal Sfeka deals with. Okay? Take a look. Ot Aleph in the shach. Okay? Lo mikri sfeka. All right, let's see where this is going on. Let's just read the Ramah again so we know exactly what he's referring to. V'yesh omrim, everybody with me in the Ramah? Kuf Yud Seif Tet in the Ramah. Yeah?
Is it in the source?
No. I think the shach is. Okay? But just listen to the Ramah. The shach is not?
That first shot.
I apologize. Okay? So just listen. We're stopping here anyway. We'll pick up with this next time. The Yesh Omrim Hatam Da'asur, the reason that the Riazaken was Oser, Safek Echad Begufa, Safek Echad Betarovet. However, Safek Hu Isur D'Oraita, V'nolu Chalomarot, Safek She'ein Kan Isur, Rak Shnit Arei B'Acherim, Lo Mikri Sfeka. Right? That case is not a sfeka. So on that, the Shach says, Lo Mikri Sfeka. Afilu Lo Noda Safek HaRishon Rak Ad Achar Shnit Arev. Right? Even if you negate the time element, the suffix, I didn't know there was anything wrong with this meat. It was only afterwards I found the suffix treifa in the animal. Right? There was something wrong with the lung, which is a suffix, but the piece of meat is already mixed up. So it's noda la'achar shnit arev. Even then, that's considered suffix echad begufa, suffix echad b'tarovet. So it's not the way the Rashba sounds if you take him literally. Look at the shach, right? So the shach says the time element is not the point. The shach. Right? The zman leidat safek is not the point. The point is the type of safek. Whether logically you can isolate the questions, not whether chronologically the questions were actually isolated.
It's not a chronological.
It's not chronological, right? I could say that the Rashba disagrees with this. Right? The simple reading of the Rashba, the fact that he uses kvar asarta, and in his example about the treifa, he even spells it out and he describes it that way. Kayotze baza, I'm reading the Rashba again. B'misha asarnua machmat safek treifa, v'achar kach misha asarnua machmat safek treifa, v'achar kach nitarva. The case is, I answered it already, and afterwards is with arev. Right? So the shach says lav dafka. Okay? 1 second. Okay. There is, all right, we'll pick this up. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll see that there are achronim who beferish disagree with the shach. And what we have to talk about next time is we're going to have to look more closely at the Gemara in Masechet Ketubot and understand the principle of sfeka she'ena mitapechet. You'll see that also. But the most important point to derive from what we've done until now about sfeka is that according to the Riyaz Zakein, that you don't say safek echad b'hilul to safek echad b'tarovet. That is because when you say sfeka l'chumra, it's b'torat vadai. Okay? According to, and that fits with the Rashba also says sfeka l'chumra is b'torat vadai. The Rabbeinu Tam, who disagrees entirely and says you can say safek echad b'gufa, safek echad b'tarovet, can disagree on the nature of the determination of sfeka l'chumra. That according to the Ramah, according to Rabbeinu Tam, sfeka d'oraita l'chumra is still a suffix, right? And therefore, you haven't closed the door. You're right, it's usher, but it's only practically usher, but it's still the suffix. So I have another suffix, so that can create a sfeka. Okay, we'll see how that plays itself out. Okay?